Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenjani klekwas manave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning with Glenora Shupura and Ashwin Betty. It is Expo Day.
It is Expo
The Tourism
Day.
Expo opens today at the Country Club, running until Friday.
I'm excited for it.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
Last year was a blast, and this year is only bigger and better.
I mean, the entertainment is good. You can get some really good deals, especially if you're a holiday lover, like, you know.
Yes, like some of us.
You know what it is. And I'm excited. Last year, I remember I got some beautiful jewelry from a Ghanaian lady, a Ghanaian stand that was there as well. And that's one of the reasons I'm excited. But anyway, Tourism Expo starts today at the Country Club. Do make sure you check it out.
You make sure you go today or tomorrow or Friday.
Or just all 3 days.
Exactly, like some of us. There's nothing wrong with doing all 3 days. Well, getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast. In South Africa, defense asked why Kelly Khumalo wasn't arrested. Sudan military downs drones targeting its headquarters in Shendi. And 5 people die in an attempt to cross the English Channel to the UK. We'll also be talking to Arrie Hougaard, who'll be filling us in on the latest news in South Africa. We'll be right back with your top stories after this.
We start our top stories in South Africa, where the defense in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial has interrogated a police officer regarding the absence of an arrest of the footballer's former partner and singer Kelly Khumalo in connection to his death. Sergeant Bato Mogola returned to the witness stand for further cross-examination in the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria yesterday. This is after explosive allegations were made by the defense on Monday. Muzika Wukulelwa, Sibiya's attorney, Tulani Ngomezulu, claimed that Longwe Twala, the son of musician Chico Twala, was responsible for Meyiwa's murder. Twala was one of the individuals present in the Fos Lurus residence where Meyiwa was fatally shot on 26 October 2014.
In our next story, Sudan's army used anti-aircraft missiles on Tuesday to shoot down drones targeting its headquarters in the city of Shendi. Witnesses and army sources said the latest in a series of such drone attacks. None of the drones hit their target, the army sources said. Reuters could not independently verify the report. The head of Sudan's army, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, arrived on Monday in Shendi, which is some 180 kilometers north of the capital Khartoum. Army media reported earlier. It was not immediately clear whether he remains in the area. Sudan's army is battling the paramilitary rapid support forces for control of the vast North African country. Tuesday's drone attack is the third targeting areas that remain solidly under army control. The city of Atbara, also in the River Nile state, and Al-Gadaref state to the east have also come under drone attack. Both the army and the RSF have used drones in the conflict, which erupted a year ago. Sudan's army is battling the paramilitary rapid support forces for control of the vast north of Africa.
Now, 5 asylum seekers, including a child, have died while crossing the English Channel from France to Britain in an overcrowded small boat just hours after the British government approved a bill to deport some asylum seekers to Rwanda. The boat carrying 112 people set out from Wimeru from about 32 kilometers from the French port of Calais to cross one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Rescuers picked up 49 people and 4 were taken to hospital, but others stayed on the boat and continued their journey to Britain. A tragedy occurred on a boat overloaded with migrants this morning. We deplored the deaths of 5 people, a 7-year-old girl, a woman and 3 men, local prefect Jacques Bilant told reporters yesterday. The engine stopped a few hundred meters away from the shore and several people fell into the water. The French Coast Guard said 58 people stayed on board and it was still searching for any other survivors.
In Nigeria, Nigeria's consumer protection watchdog has ordered the closure of a Chinese-owned supermarket in Abuja following allegations of racial discrimination. The authorities claim the supermarket exclusively permits individuals of Chinese descent to enter, sparking outrage among Nigerian citizens. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission summoned the supermarket's owner for investigation following widespread social media outcry. Nigerians shared videos online recounting their experiences of being turned away by security personnel at the supermarket's entrance. Former Senator Shehu Sani joined the calls for closure, stating that any store inaccessible to Nigerian citizens should be either forcibly opened or dismantled. In response, the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria denied the racism allegations, emphasizing their commitment to equality and inclusiveness. However, the FCCPC remains firm at demanding compliance from the supermarket's owner, who has been summoned to appear before the agency.
Now, the Gambia's Minister of Justice, Dauda Ajalo, on Monday, the 21st of April, tabled a bill entitled Special Prosecutor's Office Bill 2024. The Justice Minister also tabled another bill titled Special Accountability Mechanism Bill 2024. Now, the Justice Minister and Attorney General tabled these bills during the first extraordinary session of the National Assembly of the Republic of the Gambia. The Special Prosecutor's Office Bill seeks to establish the Office of the Special Prosecutor, who shall be tasked with investigating and prosecuting cases involving serious human rights violations identified in the TRRC between 1994 and 2017. The Special Accountability Mechanism Bill aims to provide a comprehensive framework for prosecuting individuals implicated in serious human rights violations identified by the TRRC between 1994 and 2017. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Arrie Hougaard, starting with the current political climate in South Africa ahead of the May 29 elections.
Hallo, Namibia. Ons is by die kus en ons is lit.
Away by the Easter shark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes. Please, today you make sure that we are fed. Sorry, exactly.
All right, it's time for us to cross over and have a chat with Arrie Hougaard in South Africa about the news stories stemming from Mzansi. Arrie, how are you?
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin and everyone. Yes, just 35 days to the election, so it's coming closer very, very fast. It's almost May.
Yes, indeed. And of course, the political parties are busy on the ground ramping up their efforts. Do let us know about how that's developing.
Yes, there's the typical administrative and practical things happening, and then also manifestos that's been confirmed. And maybe some of the practical things, the ANC seems to have left it a little bit late in ordering all the posters that go up. Those are all the thousands of posters that go up, and so it seemed like they were a little bit late, and now they have to accept a lower quality poster. So that's not good news for the ANC. They say that it's because there's too many new parties that took up all the space, but actually they started too late, so that's a bit of a concern for them. But not a massive challenge for them. That's the MK party. Just news coming in this morning, I see, is that former President Jacob Zuma, apparently they're concerned with his health. Illness, he fell on Friday, apparently. He's 82 years old, so he's very keen on doing another strong political campaign. You can see his faces there on the MK banners. So what also been coming out that's relevant to the political maybe process that's starting is the manifesto of MK. That's probably the most radical assemble of promises of any party, the MK, even more than the EFF. It's just briefly, it goes about away with the constitution. They want parliament to be supreme, and then also nationalizing from the SA Reserve Bank also to SARS and mines, etc., and also relisting some JSE companies, and military service, make it compulsory for everybody that's 18. That's one of the things on the manifesto, and also a referendum to have the 1996 constitution not put down. So there's quite a few radical things on the manifesto. We'll see if that happens. But at the moment, it seems like indications is that the ANC might be around about 37, 38% nationally. It's a low number for them. And it seems like the MK party will have more than the EFF if indications are correct. They might be around 13% and the EFF 11%. That's all indications at the moment. We'll see 35 days together.
Well, Arrie, in your next story, South African energy and chemicals giant Sasol experienced production volume challenges that saw its share price fall significantly. Can you get into this?
Yes, it's in Secunda. It is a big operations. It's obviously fuel from coal, and it is down 9%. So they want to, in 2024, the numbers is 7.1 million tons that they want to produce. But they've been down 42% also on the value of the shares year on year. It's went down 11% on Monday. It's 134 Rand 80 cents at the moment. But it's the big problem is ongoing supply chain disruption. That is what the official, let's say, report is from Sasol. Ongoing supply chain disruption means that it's a bad rail and bad road and bad infrastructure. So that is not good from the government side, at least. Not supplying good infrastructure for all the coal to get to Secunda. So that is a problem for them, a big component in the South African economy, that is the Sasol.
All right, Arrie, we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that. Now, the digital banking group Capitec reported that its number of active clients breached 22 million. Tell us more.
Yes, they're doing well, and they've got a good system. They've got a system that's very user-friendly for everyone, and so it is a big growth for Capitec, and they do have a bit of a credit losses challenge. They've got, that's 14% up. Big number, 22.4 billion South African rand in credit losses. That's 14%. But then on the other side, they have profits that's the 16% climb in attributable profit. That's a big word. And so they're doing well. They grew quite a bit in terms of their value, 8% on Tuesday. And they also want to expand. 20 new branches is planned for South Africa. That's also a growth of about 11%. And then also they want to go into Europe. So that is quite interesting. They already have bought into Avavon. That is a company that loans money into Europe. So they're already doing loans in Poland and Czech and Spain and Mexico even. So it seems like Capitec is spreading the wings, not only in South Africa, but yes, 22.17 million clients. So that's quite a bit of the market in South Africa.
Now, getting into your next story, the value of the South African rand remains under pressure as investors are opting for safer assets than the rand. This is not only concerning for South Africans, but I'm guessing also for Namibians, where the Namibian dollar is pegged against the rand.
Yes, I think there's some of the components that we kind of, as they say in English, sitting ducks, that we can't do anything about it. And it's things like the US inflation and also the oil price. The oil price is a big component. Also wars and instability internationally. That's a massive influence on the rand dollar, I suppose, for all currencies in the world, but especially for South Africa. But the big X factor at the moment, that's the wars. That's obviously a concern. That's got the oil price. It's also a concern. But the biggest challenge for South Africa is obviously the elections leading up to the elections. So the big thing is coalitions. Seems like everybody is quite comfortable if the ANC do have a majority and they're in power again, and it's fine. The coalitions make it difficult for South Africa to govern. So that is where everybody's nervous at the moment. What it's going to look like after the 29th of May. Is the coalitions going to be the ANC and the EFF, maybe even the ANC, EFF and MK party? Where's the DA going to fit into that? So that makes it difficult. That puts pressure on the rand for sure. So on emerging markets, South Africa, there's 23 emerging markets. South Africa is 12th at the moment. The biggest emerging markets that's doing the best is obviously the big ones. All the Brexit ones, it's China and India and Brazil. So South Africa struggling a little bit economically, but still the biggest economy in Africa.
Without a doubt, and we'll certainly be keeping an eye on the performance of the rand. Thank you, Arrie, for bringing us the news stories from South Africa.
Yes, big pleasure and excellent day for everyone. Bye-bye. Bye.
We definitely shall have an excellent day. Let's take a look at the weather predictions before we return with economic news.
Getting into economic news, President William Ruto of Kenya has intensified calls to African government and business leaders to make the continent future-ready by incorporating technology. Speaking on Monday when he presided over the opening of the Africa Connected Summit 2024 in Nairobi, Dr. Ruto told delegates that Africa stands to reap big from the digital revolution if those in positions of influence make the right decisions. We must all be concerned by the fact that our rate of connectivity is poorer than the existing potential, he said. The 5-day summit has convened ICT thought leaders as well as policy makers from across the continent in access area ideas and partnerships. In his opening address, Ruto highlighted the key bottlenecks that he said, if addressed, would immensely unlock the vast economic potential that lies untapped in Africa. He singled out Africa's internet penetration rate, which stands at 36%, translating to 470 million users in a continent of 1.4 billion people, which is below the global average of 66%.
Mineral shipments from a Congolese copper and cobalt operation, majority owned by China's Zijin mining group, were returned due to overly high radiation levels, the Congolese mines minister said in a letter seen by Reuters on Monday. The letter, dated April 12, informed the Commerce Project, in which Zijin owns a 72% stake, that the ministry had suspended its license while it investigated the issue. I am informed of the return of your shipments that exported mineral products to South Africa because their radioactivity content exceeds the regulatory threshold, Mines Minister Antoinette Nsamba Kalambayi said in the letter. Zijin did not immediately respond to the emailed questions. It was not possible to reach Commerce for comment either. The letter did not make clear what was in the shipments. Commerce, based near the Democratic Republic of Congo's southern city of Kolwezi, produced 129,000 tons of copper and about 2,200 tons of cobalt in 2023, ministry data shows.
Those have been our economic news stories. Let's head on over to the economic indicators before we return with the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news first, and the clay season continues. Lots of good tennis on clay leading up to Roland Garros in May, and it's the Madrid Open. It's the next one. It starts this week. It's a thousands tournament, meaning that all the top players play in the tournament, almost similar to a Grand Slam. So all the top players in action in Madrid. It's in the men's side of the draw. It will be number 1 seed Yannick Sinner of Italy. He's the number 1 seed, and it is Novak Djokovic that's not playing in the tournament. Number 2 seed will be Carlos Alcaraz, and then number 3 seed Daniel Medvedev. 2 form players that's also in the tournament is number 5 seed Casper Ruud, that won recently, and also Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece. Also big news from the tournament is that Rafael Nadal, the experienced major winner, he will be able to play in the tournament. He was injured, but he's back from injury. He will play in the first round against Darwin Blanche from the USA. On the women's side of the draw, it is the Stuttgart Open winner of the past weekend, Elena Rybakina, that will be the 4th seed in the tournament, and number 1, 2 and 3 will be according to world rankings. And number 1 seed in the tournament will be Iga Swiatek, and number 2 seed Aryna Sabalenka, and then number 3 seed from the USA is Coco Gauff. Moving on to soccer news, and soccer news from the Italian Serie A, and it's good news for Inter Milan. Inter Milan, they sealed their 20th Italian title, that's the Serie A title, when they beat the arch rivals AC Milan in a derby by 2-1. And so they've got enough points. There's still a few games left in the season, but they've got enough points to already seal the victory. And it was first Francesco Acerbi that scored in the 18th minute for Inter Milan, and then also Marcus Thuram that scored in the 49th minute. It was a 2-1 victory for Inter Milan. The Inter Milan supporters had to wait a few years. Their last title win was 2021, and it's only their second title since 2010. And also, they in recent games, they have a dominance now over arch rivals AC Milan. In the last 6 games, it was Inter Milan that won all 6 the derby games. And to close off today's international sports news, it is golf news, and it's related to the World Golf Rankings. It's a bit controversial at the moment because the LIV Golf players that play in the Breakaway Men's League, they're not in contention for world rankings. But then again, they knew that was going to be the case when they joined LIV Golf, that they were not going to be able to play in tournaments on the European and the PGA Tour. And so the reality at the moment is that Scotty Scheffler is still remaining number 1 in the world. He is deservedly so. He won the Masters a week ago, and then after the Masters, he also won now the RBC Heritage Tournament. Back-to-back wins for him, and he also won the Bay Hill Tournament.
And as far as the English Premier League goes, Glenn Orendi's team Arsenal's back at the top of the table after beating Chelsea 5-0 last night. Let's have a look at the highlights from this morning's broadcast. Defense asks why Kelly Khumalo wasn't arrested in the Senzo Meyiwa trial taking place in South Africa. Sudan military downs drones targeting its HQ in Shendi, says army sources. And President William Ruto of Kenya says digital access to unlock Africa's potential is essential.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Betty. See you at the Tourism Expo running from today until Friday. Sera Jaganaka.